Hi, I'm James,
Hi, I'm Sanah.
and today we're talking about creative ways to cope.
Am I? I don't know, weirdo.
So today we're talking about ways to be creative and using different creative techniques to help with how you're feeling. So Sanah, how can being creative help when you're feeling stressed or worried?
The first thing that sort of comes to mind for me is it's a way of processing your emotions. And that can be in so many different forms, through writing or art. It's a way of kind of getting out everything that you've sort of kept pent up. And I guess kind of like externalising it a bit and kind of having it, not even just the process of doing it, but having something formed out of it that you're kind of proud of, and that you can look back at.
And it doesn't always have to be perfect.
No, definitely not.
So it's just your way of actually saying, this is how I'm feeling right now and this is what's helping me right now.
And I think that's it. I think you kind of shed light on a really important point, which is, it doesn't have to be that the creative piece is necessarily about processing the emotion that you're feeling there and then. You can use it for distraction, and still create something great. And I think, especially with writing, sometimes you might feel kind of a bit of pressure to write something really deep and emotional if that's what you're going through at the time, but actually just picking something quite just completely abstract and separate, just an object, and writing about it can bring out a completely different feeling and emotion, and be quite a good distraction.
So Sanah, how do you express your creativity?
So I write poetry. That's my main form of expressing my creativity, definitely.
And how does that feel for you when you actually present that poetry to other people?
Yeah, it's a very scary, vulnerable thing to do. It took me a really, really long time to get to the stage where I could do that. I only started sharing about 2 years ago.
How about those poems that you don't ever show to other people?
It's a really personal thing, poetry, a lot of the time, because you're putting your heart out there a bit. I wouldn't ever put myself in a position sharing something that would be too vulnerable or too personal to me.
And even once you've created a poem or written something down, drawn a picture, you don't necessarily have to keep it. If you want to, if you don't want anyone else ever seeing it, you could screw it up, throw it away.
Definitely. I mean, personally, for me, I write loads on my notes on my phone.
Okay.
So literally in my notes is just poetry, and there's so much on there that no one will ever see.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just a great way to kind of get stuff out and then look back and kind of process where I was at that point, and sometimes just use it for different ideas to write something else or something different.
So not everyone would feel comfortable writing something down, whether it's in a poem like you're saying. What other ways might there be for people to express themselves?
I know I've spoken a lot about writing for me, but I also play a bit of guitar.
Okay.
And I think creativity is just, it's in everything.
Whatever way works for you.
Yeah, whatever way works for you. It's such a personal thing. It's whatever you find meaning in. Not everyone's going to respond to you. You're not writing it for someone else to give you validation or to tell you it's great. It's for you.
So what can writing do to help you in your life?
I think this is something, for everybody, that when you're feeling quite low and isolated, it might be hard to communicate what you're feeling to other people. And there's something about still getting it out, and writing it down, that really is a release. And we've sort of spoken a lot about the benefits mental health wise, and for me as well, it's created amazing opportunities for things that I'm passionate about, and I couldn't have even dreamed of.
So it can start as a coping mechanism and might then turn into something you actually enjoy doing and want to take further.
Yeah, definitely.
So what good piece of advice were you given about being creative?
I was kind of told that to not get too focused on the outcome. And I think it's really easy to think, I want to produce a really amazing poem that everyone's going to love, or painting a really amazing picture that, I'll get lots of amazing feedback for. And I guess this is kind of a bit of a metaphor with life, really, kind of thinking about the next step and the end goal, rather than actually enjoying the process of it. And I think the process is where the sort of beauty really is in it, and kind of being really mindful and really present when you're writing.
So sometimes some people might find it really difficult and might really struggle getting into that creative zone.
Yeah.
And that isn't always a bad thing. It may simply be that you might need to talk to someone, or you might need to reach out to someone in a slightly different way.
Putting pressure on yourself to produce something when you're not feeling like you can, is only going to sort of, I guess, put barriers up to that process. And it can kind of, I guess, sometimes lead you to avoid it even more. And that, I think it's completely okay if you don't feel like you can, and there's lots of other ways to manage how you're feeling. You know, you can talk to somebody or call Childline.
Thanks so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.